Amazon's Prime Video is one of the most popular streaming platforms in the world, and it has a huge catalog of awesome historical movies that most viewers may have overlooked. And in this video, I will give you my recommendations of 10 excellent historical films on Prime Video that you probably haven't seen yet. But before we begin, don't forget, if you love anything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel, History Sport. At number 10, it is Fall of a Kingdom, a historical film which tells the story of the Mongol invasion of 13th century Ukraine, resulting in a group of Carpathian villagers having the perilous task of having to defend their homeland against the advancing Mongol forces. This is a visually stunning film with great cinematography, fantastic battle sequences, and some decent enough acting. But the storyline here is really weak, and more than half the film has to pass before Fall of a Kingdom finally gets interesting. But if you're looking for a good one-time watch, B-grade historical film about a very little talked about part of Mongol history, then Fall of a Kingdom is the film for you. At number 9, it is Rise of the Viking, a Dutch historical film which depicts the story of the 8th century Frisian warrior King Redbad and his battles against Pepin of Herstal, resulting in a power struggle between Christians and pagans as Christianity spreads throughout the land. Again, just like Fall of a Kingdom, the storyline and pacing here is really weak, but the film is perfect for someone wanting a more action-based movie, as the battle sequences and hand-to-hand combat is great here. So if you're looking for a film which focuses less on historical precision and more on epic scale, Viking themed action, and plenty of battle scenes, then you will love Rise of the Viking. At number 8, it is Furious, a Russian epic period film which covers the siege of Ryazan by the Mongols in 1237, and this plot depicts the actions of a Russian knight named Protek Lavrat, who led his heavily outnumbered Russian forces against the Mongol hordes of Batu Khan. This is the first Russian-based historical movie I have ever seen, and I really enjoyed it as the plot was simple and easy to follow, and the main character was fairly well developed and believable as well. Also, the movie did a fantastic job of bringing the power of the Mongols to the screen in a really believable manner. Furious is a bit lacking in terms of cinematography and set pieces, but overall, for a B-grade Russian film, I really enjoyed Furious, and I think all viewers of this channel will do so as well. At number 7 is Kantara, a Legend Chapter 1, an Indian historical fantasy film taking viewers all the way back to the 4th century, depicting the conflict between the tyrannical, fictional rulers of Bangra and the tribal guardians of the Kantara forest in a truly epic showdown. The primary plot is based around Burmay, a young tribesman who leads his people to fight back against the kingdom's exploitation as they seek to reclaim their dignity and protect their sacred lands from royal greed. And Kantara has an interesting but slightly confusing plot, some pretty decent combat sequences, and great acting by the entire cast. However, though, I did find some of the mythology elements of the film to be really confusing, and the subtitles sometimes didn't make much sense. But if you're looking for a grand historical fantasy adventure, then you should definitely check out Kantara, a Legend Chapter 1 on Amazon Prime right now. At number 6, it is Medieval, a film from the Czech Republic based on the legendary Hussite commander John Žižka, one of the most successful military leaders of all time, having never lost a battle in which he was the commander of his forces, and this film tells the story of his rebellion against Henry III of Rosenborg. Medieval does a great job of bringing his story to life, and it has some decent acting by most of the cast, with Michael Caine and Ben Foster being the two standouts for me. There's a lot to like about Medieval, but it is a very rapid-paced film with a lot of events trying to be portrayed in a very short time frame, which really does hurt the quality of the film overall. But if you're looking for a movie which has a great central character using some really unique and extraordinary military strategies to defeat much larger forces, then Medieval is the movie for you. At number 5, it is Julius Caesar, a direct-to-TV film depicting Julius Caesar's life, with the primary focus being on his battles against Vercingetorix, his rise to becoming dictator of Rome, and his eventual assassination. And if you're a fan of Roman history, then this film will definitely appeal to you, as the acting is decent, the battle scenes are well done, and it is probably one of the better direct-to-TV historical films I have come across in a long time. Julius Caesar does struggle with pacing, and the overall storyline could have been portrayed in a more interesting manner. But if you have a free evening and a few hours to kill, then there's no real reason to not at least give Julius Caesar a try. And number 4, it is Iceman, a historical drama depicting the story of the Neolithic clan leader Caleb, living in the Ötztal Alps more than 5,300 years ago. And this film depicts his quest for vengeance after his settlement is brutally attacked, during which his wife and son are murdered, and the tribe's holy shrine Tinica is also stolen. And Caleb starts a relentless pursuit of the 3 murderers of his family across treacherous mountain terrain. Iceman is definitely one of the most unique historical films I have ever seen, but I do have to say, if you want a very unique and interesting prehistorical film, then Iceman is definitely a great recommendation for you. And number 3 is Kesari, a Bollywood film which depicts the incredible true story of the last stand of 21 brave Sikhs fighting against 10,000 Afghan tribesmen in 1897. Primary focus is on the Battle of Saraguri, in where 21 Sikhs fight to the death to protect their base and ensure that they hold the Afghan forces at bay long enough for the British to organize a counterattack. Kesari highlights everything audiences would want in an epic historical film, such as realistic production design, interesting characters, and some huge epic battle scenes as well. There's actually very little to critique about Kesari in my opinion, except that perhaps the ambitions and reasonings as to why the Afghans were trying to attack the fort in the first place could have been expanded upon a bit more, and there are some very over-the-top action sequences as well. But if you want an epic historical film of one of the most daring and successful last stands in modern history, then Kesari is my recommendation for you. And number 2, it is Dovbush, a historical film telling the story of the legendary 18th century Hutzul outlaw Oleksa Dovbush, living in the Carpathian Mountains under brutal Polish rule, resulting in him and his brother Ivan becoming mountain rebels. This is a fascinating historical epic, as the emphasis here is on great cinematography, well choreographed battle sequences, and a very interesting plot as well. The villains in this film though are not very well fleshed out, and many of the characters are quite one-dimensional. But if you want a Ukrainian version of Robin Hood, then Dovbush is my recommendation for you. And the top spot on this list goes to the South Korean historical film The Fortress, which tells the story of the second Manchu invasion of Korea in 1636, resulting in King Inju and his retainers having to find refuge in a remote and poorly stocked fortress. And the primary focus of the film is based around the core politics and intrigue that ensues as each advisor tries to convince the king on the best way to deal with the invading Qin army. This is a unique movie, as the emphasis here is on court politics and the importance of words in a war rather than swords. So if you're looking for a film which focuses less on large battles and action sequences and more on small intricacies behind war, then The Fortress is my recommendation for you. So let me know in the comments down below if there are any other little known historical movies on Amazon Prime that I may have missed out on. And as always, if you want to stay up to date with everything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel History Spark, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.